Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you caught my video earlier today where I was reacting to The Bad Batch. That was actually a video I recorded around 7 a.m. before I went to bed, and that was off Disney Plus. It hadn't come out on YouTube yet, so when I woke up, I cut everything together and I just like synced it to what I was watching, which was on Disney Plus, which they black out the screen, much like Netflix or whatever would if you're recording your screen. So anyways, now going back to it, I see that there are a few things that I would like to go over in much more detail. Now, of course, the main thing being Cody and Crosshair talking and seeing if they're actually going to team up. Now, Cody has been a character that we've wanted to see return in Star Wars for, what, 15 years now, since Revenge of the Sith? You know, I thought he was going to be in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show because, in my opinion, after Vader, I don't really think there's after Vader and Maul, Obi-Wan's like the main dude everyone wants to kill. After Vader and Maul, I don't think there's anyone that wants Kenobi more than Cody. So I was hoping we would have seen him there, but alas, we did not. So it's nice that we actually get to see him in The Bad Batch Season 2 coming out January 4th. Now, what I would like to see with this character is definitely more of a development of him in the Empire, because he is like, if Anakin is the poster boy for the Clone Wars, Cody is like the poster boy for good soldiers follow orders. He is literally the dude that fired upon Obi-Wan Kenobi on Utapau in Revenge of the Sith. He's the one who answered the call. He's like the most infamous scene when Palpatine executed Order 66. And I'll tell you a funny story before we continue. Not a lot of people know this. It's from the novel, written by Matthew Stover. Now, the Varactyl that Obi-Wan was riding in Revenge of the Sith, you know, the bird lizard creature, the Varactyl, actually was able to sense Order 66 before Obi-Wan, before anyone else. And it was a she, knew exactly knew what was going on, knew something was wrong. And so she actually shielded Obi-Wan, and this is how it was described in the book, which was signed off by George Lucas. She shielded Obi-Wan by positioning herself a little bit in harm's way and was able to at least dodge the blast, but protect Obi-Wan at the same time. And I always found that to be, you know, justice for the Varactyl. We never got to actually know any of that or know what happened to her, but they both fell in the water, so I'm hoping that they're both okay. And she lives, but probably not. So anyways, that's nice. Now, in this one, we do see another creature that, this is a very, very loose theory, okay? But hey, that's the name of the channel, and I just want to go into detail on it, if we can find it here in a second. Right there. So, what happened was, there was this beast called the Zillo Beast, and it was brought to Coruscant to be tested upon. Palpatine wanted to use it in the Republic army. Now, the Zillo Beast had this armor that was literally impenetrable. It was invincible. Until, of course, Anakin Skywalker found a dent in the armor, an ability to pierce the armor, which was through the cracks. So, like, if we look at kind of like dragon armor, you know, if you've seen Dragonheart, there are certain parts where you can pierce, or like knight armor, you can pierce through certain parts. Now, this is the same with the Zillo Beast. And now, of course, this is some sort of cyborg. However, the Zillo Beast broke out of its confinement in the lab in Coruscant, and it was wreaking havoc on the city. Now, the Zillo Beast is from Malastare, and it's a very, very impossible creature to tame, to capture, but of course it was done. Now, later on, there was another Zillo Beast. There's only two that we know of, I believe, and that one was killed by Kylo Ren. That's like in some comic or something. I didn't read that part. I got that info on the internet. I never actually saw it. So the Zillo Beast, though, the Clone Wars, I can speak about from memory. So the Zillo Beast was, eventually they hit it with some sort of a gas, and they killed it. Now, Palpatine then cloned the Zillo Beast, and we never heard of him again. However, Dave Filoni did say that they wouldn't be bringing the Zillo Beast back because it was just too large and there's no point. However, check this out. When asked about the Zillo Beast's potential return in Star Wars Rebels following the cancellation of the Clone Wars, Filoni stated during an interview with StarWars.com that a comeback wasn't possible because its scale was too challenging for the production, and they had no reason for why the Galactic Empire would clone it. Though he suggested the possibility of introducing a baby specimen rather than a mechanical one. No Zillo Beast appeared in the show before its ending aired in 2018. So a baby specimen, maybe from the one Palpatine cloned in the Clone Wars? And then, why is he mentioning anything to do with a mechanical one? I mean, the Zillo Beast looked a little bit different than this, but if anything is going to resemble the Zillo Beast, it's definitely going to be this Godzilla-looking creature. So I think what could have happened is perhaps Palpatine did create some sort of a cyborg Zillo Beast. Maybe he created a Zillo Beast that's encased in armor. Maybe he cloned a Zillo Beast and no one knows about it. This is perhaps one of the aliens or some of the mutations or something, the creatures that they're creating on Mount Tantiss. And if you remember at the end of Bad Batch Season 1, we did see Mount Tantiss. Mount Tantiss is something from Legends. It's from Heir to the Empire. It's where the Empire did a lot of, well, I guess, yeah, the Empire did a lot of their cloning, a lot of their weird experiments and experimentations, and the Zillo Beast could be possibly part of these experimentations on that in that lab, in that place, so on that mountain. And perhaps it could be that it went crazy, went rogue, and they had to ship it off somewhere else, and maybe this is the creature. I don't know. It's something to do with the Empire. Who knows? But to me, this just screams Zillo Beast, and I know a ton of OG Clone Wars fans have always wanted to see what happens with the Zillo Beast. Why didn't they bring him back in some sort of way, or at least explain a little bit more with the character? If Palpatine had used its skin for armor for the clones, imagine that, during Order 66. It would have been really not good for the Jedi at all, because it was impenetrable to not just blasters and explosions, but also lightsabers. So this would have been the perfect thing for the clones to be wearing. So my question to you is, do you think this is the Zillo Beast, or do you think it's just something entirely different, just some other sort of mech creature that we don't know about, and it's going to come and go with the show? I personally would love to know more about it. I would love to hope that it's the Zillo Beast, and to maybe see at least a mention of him, or they can be like, this reminds me of the Zillo Beast, blah, 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 back in the day, and maybe someone will be able to talk about it. But anyways, those were the three things I wanted to mention in this recap video, in this extra video. Cody and Crosshair. Is Crosshair going to betray his brother still? Is Cody going to betray the Empire? And is he going to turn good in the end? We did hear that a lot of clones were questioning Order 66, so will Cody turn to good? Will Omega find Boba Fett? They are twins. Now, of course, another thing is Gungi, and we saw him in the Clone Wars. Now, who is this character? A lot of people are saying, it's just a young Wookiee Jedi. We actually saw him in the Clone Wars, and he went to Ilum with Master Yoda, Jedi Grandmaster Yoda. And they were younglings, they were supposed to find their crystals, and the way it works when you find your crystal, at least when George was in charge, is a crystal calls to you. And depending what your crystal is dependent on the color. So like, for example, Mace Windu found his crystal on like this rock planet.
Master Yoda sent him to the planet Hurricane on his own to find the crystal that spoke to him the most. Let's begin the story, shall we? I admit I was cocky, maybe even arrogant. I was the top of my class. But by 14, I had not yet built my first lightsaber. That was cause for concern among my masters. The Jedi Council suggested that I was afraid, but I was just looking for the right challenge. Crystals that would make my lightsaber unique. So, Master Yoda sent me to Hurricane, far beyond the Outer Rim. It was my first solo mission, and I knew I would succeed. After all, I had my wits, and the Force, and my feet. But I hadn't yet learned self-control, or responsibility. The self-control came easily. Responsibility was much more difficult to master. It required that I admit to misjudging my opponents, and then resolve to repair the damage done. Please, let me help. I know now that a Jedi must be confident, but also self-aware, committed, selfless, and humble. On Hurricane, I became a Jedi Knight, in spirit, if not in title. And the rewards were great. Thank you. Now, who's ready to build a lightsaber?
He ended up befriending these rock people, and they gave him this very powerful, very rare rock, this crystal, purple crystal. Now, this story, of course, was where they went to Ilum, and Gungi, or Gungi, however you want to pronounce it, was meditating to freeze the water because he couldn't go through the water, because he couldn't go through the ocean. As you can imagine, it's probably very difficult for him to swim. It's like a wet dock. He was waiting and meditating, and he was awarded by Master Yoda for being very patient. Anyways, he gets to the end, he gets the crystal and all that. So we did see him in the Clone Wars, and they went through a couple missions. We get to see him a little bit again when Anakin is fighting Barriss before she's arrested. And we never really got to see much of him after that. So this is cool that we get to see him in here. And he's still got his infamous green lightsaber. Now, green, of course, is indicative of you being able to use the Force very, very well. Blue, you are a Jedi Guardian. And yellow, knowledge and so on and so forth. And red, evil. So green, to me, the same as Yoda, Luke, Qui-Gon. That lightsaber color is very indicative of someone who's very strong in the Force. So Gungi already at this point is, I think, much more powerful than someone perhaps with a blue lightsaber. At least they have different skills that maybe balance each other out. We went over Gungi, and we're going to see more of his character development and his enrollment with the show and the other characters. Rex, of course, we're going to see. And the Zillo Beast. I want to know what you guys think. That's like my main reason for making this video is the Zillo Beast, because I always thought he was a pretty interesting character that they never really touched on later because of whatever reason. But could this be perhaps Filoni going back into this mechanical one, perhaps from a baby specimen or whatever? Things on Wikipedia can always be doctored and changed by anybody, so there's really no validity unless you're like backing it up with other source material. So I would love to know what you guys think. Thanks for watching this little quick vid, and I hope you have a great day. I'm excited for the Bad Batch and for the watch parties and to have fun with you all in 2023. I'm really looking forward to it, especially the Jedi Survivor streams. Have an awesome day, and may the Force be with you.